You can study every sales framework on earth, questions to ask, objections to handle, desires to uncover, and still freeze the second there's a real person in front of you. That was me on my early sales calls, 90 minutes in, both of us exhausted, and the deal slowly disappearing because I was trying to remember everything at once. And if your sales conversations keep feeling that heavy, you don't just lose deals, you start avoiding the conversations that would actually grow your business. So in this video, I'm going to give you the small part of selling that decides whether a conversation moves forward. The part I used to close some of the biggest organizations on a product that didn't even exist in its market yet. If you sell a service, teach what you know, or close clients over a call, this will help you stop overcomplicating the conversation and start knowing exactly what to focus on when the pressure hits. Now, a quick clarification, when I sell anything in 15 minutes, I don't mean every sales conversation should end in 15 minutes. I mean there are usually about 15 minutes inside the conversation that decides whether the deal moves forwards or dies. After more than 25 years selling my own products and services, I found that if you get those minutes right, everything else becomes easier. So I'm going to show you what actually matters in those 15 minutes, starting with the first mistake most people make before the sale conversation even begins. Here's the first thing, and everything else stands on top of it. Your client isn't buying your achievements, your diplomas, your years in the field, or your client list. He's buying the belief that he'll get the result with you. And belief is a feeling, not a calculation. And there's science under this. A neuroscientist named Antonio Damasio studied patients with damage to the emotional part of the brain. Their logic stayed perfect, IQ, memory, reasoning, all intact. But they couldn't make a decision to save their lives. Even simple choices became exhausting. They would weigh the pros and cons, but they couldn't actually choose. Without emotion, logic just generates options forever. It has no way to close. So a decision, any decision, needs emotion to even happen. So there's no such thing as a purely rational yes. The most logical buyer you'll ever meet is deciding with emotion and explaining it with logic afterwards. And that even holds for the biggest, most expensive deals to the biggest companies, because a company never signs anything, a person does. A person with a feeling. This changes the whole game. The first thing you bring into a sales conversation isn't your pitch, it's you. If you don't believe you can help this person, they feel it before you finish your first sentence. If you do, they feel that too. So the real question was never, what do I say? It's, what does this person need to feel? Get the feeling right and the words don't matter as much. Get it wrong and the best script in the world falls flat. These are three things that build that feeling in a conversation. Each one takes about a minute to learn, and the lifetime of selling gets easier once you have them. Here's the first. For years, I sold the service I built, putting together and running employee bands inside big companies. I drove from one company to another, boardroom to boardroom, and I brought my business partner along. He'd sit and listen, I did the talking. We had a signal. About 5 minutes into every meeting, if I kicked him under the table, it meant the deal was closed. If I didn't, it wasn't. And it was almost always right. 5 minutes in, before I'd really present anything, I already knew, because the deal closes the moment connection happens, when the person across the table feels comfortable with you. When there's rapport, their guard drops and the door to actually listening swings open. From there, if your thing is good and you believe in it, the close is easy. The meetings where I couldn't build that connection in the first few minutes, the quality of the presentation was irrelevant. It just didn't happen. So before you show a single feature, before one word about your offer, build the connection first. Make a real human moment happen. Everything you say afterwards lands completely different depending on whether that door is open. Ask something you actually care about. Notice how fast they speak. Use their name naturally. Then listen long enough that they can tell you're not just waiting to pitch. I used to look around the room for things that looked interesting to me, ask them about it, and they were usually very eager to tell me about them. And this is how you make an emotional connection first. Now, the second thing took me years to fully get, and it changed my business completely. When I sold those employee bands, my clients were HR managers. For almost 2 years, I pitched the wrong thing. I talked about employee productivity, morale, performance. It made sense, it just never landed the way I wanted. Everything shifted when I started showing up to HR conferences, not to sell, just to hear what these managers said to each other when no salesman was in the room. And I discovered that the thing keeping them up at night wasn't productivity at all. It was the fear of good employees leaving for the competitor. That fear was costing them a fortune, and that was the thing they actually felt. So I changed the pitch from productivity to keeping the best people, making them never want to leave. Same product, different pain. My conversation rate tripled, my price tripled, and nobody blinked. Now, I have a client called Meishar that came to me less than 1 year ago, a music teacher just starting out with exactly 1 student. He was scared because he had no real experience and he was sure students would see that and walk away. So I asked him one thing: do you believe you have something to give to a beginner who wants to play? The answer was yes. Do you believe that you can actually help them? Yes. Then all that's left, I told him, is to show them the one reason they have to learn from you and no one else. And the moment you do, your competitors' diplomas stop mattering. And we found it. His students could hold a guitar and strum chords, but they never played a single note of their own, never improvised, never made something that sounds like music coming out of them. That was the locked door, the quiet fear that I'll never be able to create my own music. His competitors kept skipping right past that pain. Meishar had lived it himself and he found the way through. The moment he spoke to that, his students stopped asking about his resume and he got so busy he had to bring an assistant just to handle the inquiries. The right audience is an exposed pain. Touch it and suddenly your credentials matter a lot less. If people keep asking you for proof, for diplomas, for who you've worked with, that means you either haven't touched the real pain yet or these aren't your people. So tonight, ask yourself what the burning pain was when you were at the start or stuck somewhere. What you felt, what you said to yourself, what you didn't even dare to say out loud, and how it felt when you found a way out. If thinking about it still feels personal, you're probably close. The third thing, and this is something I see people get wrong all the time, your prospect is not buying your features, not your professionalism, not your method. He's buying how he's going to feel. The clearer you help him picture the place he wants to be, the stronger the emotion. And that emotion is the actual thing he buys. I can't stress that enough. People don't buy the thing itself. They buy the feeling they believe the thing will give them. So you have to know in advance what truly makes your client feel good, not what you assume what really does. Back to my HR managers, once I started listening, I understood what they were actually chasing. It wasn't a number on a report, but rather a kind word from the CEO above them or the employees below them. Being seen as the one who made the company a place people love. That's the picture I painted, and I took them there inside the conversation. I let them feel what the recognition could be like. That feeling did more than any feature I could ever tell them about. So write down the one moment your client is secretly chasing, the feeling underneath the result. Then plan how you'll walk him into that picture vividly while you're still in the room together. The moment you have these three: connection, the real pain, the picture of how it'll feel, even if the rest of the conversation isn't perfect, you've given the deal a real chance. Your product still has to be good. It has to solve what you say it solves. But I'm guessing that's not your problem. Your problem is that it's good and it still isn't closing enough. That's why I made this. All the techniques, all the objections, scripts, all the closing tricks are decorations. The core was always one thing. You're talking to a human being with feelings. Logic gives them permission, emotion makes the decision. You already know your craft. What's being stopping you was never one more technique. It's remembering that the person across from you isn't buying what you do. They're buying how you make them feel about where they could go. Before you go, do one thing for me. Drop a comment with the real pain your client has, not the one he says out loud, the one underneath. Naming it is the first step to selling to it. I read everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.